Okay, I think we can get started. I do want to be cognizant of people's time, but we'll get started with introductions. So good morning, everybody. I'm Connie Barcelas. I oversee economic development for the city of Sunnyvale. Welcome to our webinar, which is called Launch Your Business with Customer-Focused Marketing. We're very excited to have you here. Just before we start, I just want to go over a few housekeeping rules. I want to remind you that this session is being recorded and it is going to be available after the session, and the link will be posted on the city's website. We do want the webinar to be interactive, which is great. You guys are already taking advantage of the chat function. If you have a question, as Israel, our presenter, is presenting his information, please type it in the chat and we may be able to respond to it as we go along. Or if you want to, or you prefer to wait till the end of the session, we will have time for a Q&A, and you can always raise your virtual hand and I will be able to unmute you and you can ask your question in person. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, let's get to sort of the meat of our program. We're very excited to have you guys here, and this program couldn't occur without our phenomenal partners, which is Google, the city, the Sunnyvale Chamber of Commerce, and our Small Business Development Center. And this morning we have a few of our partners with us. So this morning we have Don Mayer, who's the CEO of the Sunnyvale Chamber of Commerce. Don, would you like to say hello to everybody?
Absolutely. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for starting your day with us. This is a really good program that we're looking forward to, and we really appreciate the opportunity to work with the City of Sunnyvale Economic Development Department and the Small Business Development Center to present information like this. And please feel free to go to the Sunnyvale Chamber's website, svcoc.org, at any time to get more information on tools available to small business. And also save the date. The Sunnyvale Art and Wine Festival is coming up on June 4th and 5th. And we've got a lot of great marketing opportunities for businesses of every size. So information on that is available on our website as well. Thank you, and thanks for being here.
Thanks, Don. Also joining us today, we're very happy to have Dennis King, who is with the Executive Director of the Small Business Development Center for Silicon Valley. Dennis, good morning. Would you like to say hello?
Thank you, Connie. Good morning to everybody. It is a great day. So yes, our Small Business Development Center, our intent is to provide access to information and resources to help you succeed in business. And that's why actually we're now called SBDC Access, or Access SBDC. So all of our services are free. Our success is your success. So I do want to say, at least for an announcement today, we've had the honor this last couple of months of managing the micro business grant program from the state of California, and phase 1 ends on the 9th of March. So a little bit less than a week from now, we'll be ending phase 1.
Of May, sorry, Dennis, May, not March.
March 9th, yes. Getting ahead of myself here. Thank you, Connie. But it's an opportunity for the smallest of the small businesses that have been traditionally left out of the other grant programs. So if your business is under $50,000 a year, let us know and let's talk about how we can connect you to a grant from the state of California. Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. We're also really happy and pleased that we have the Mayor of Sunnyvale, Mayor Larry Klein, with us this morning. And we're excited that he's here today. And Mayor Klein, would you like to say a few words and say hello to everybody?
Thank you, Connie, and thank you to all of our partners. And it's especially great to be here in the middle of Small Business Week. Last night's council meeting, we actually declared, this week as Small Business Week, and Sunnyvale is proud to support all of its businesses, large and small. And you hear of all the big names and all the big players play here, but small businesses comprise of over 90% of our local business community, and we have about 7,000 small businesses here in Sunnyvale, and so definitely encouraging people to shop at them, people going to them and in supporting them are really important for the city standpoint, for our businesses and for our residents. So, I'm very happy that our partners have helped us, continue to promote how to improve our small businesses as far as that's concerned. And, I'm always proud to push our residents as much as possible that when they shop, try to shop local. So, these programs that and these seminars that we've been having are fantastic because they allow those small businesses to get a better online presence, and part of that, of course, is how to market your business. So today we have Israel back again to help give us that information on how to basically launch your business and focus on marketing. So Israel, I'll go ahead and pass it to you. And thanks for being here, especially on Small Business Week.
Thank you. Always a pleasure to be back. And it's been a little bit over a month since we did our last series, but it's fun to come back with a whole new topic. So this is the first time we're presenting this topic, which is launch your business with customer-focused marketing. It is brought to you by the Grow with Google program, which is an initiative from Google to help entrepreneurs like yourself to be successful online. So in this workshop, we're going to talk about the basics of customer-focused marketing to help launch your successful businesses. It does sound like from the chat that there's already several of you with existing businesses. I saw Luis, who is in the bridal and quinceañera business. We've got somebody in the hair salon business. Great. So these are all fantastic businesses. And so I wanted to just welcome everybody once again. As we mentioned earlier, this is the start of a whole new series that we're launching during Small Business Week, and it will go through July. So today we're kicking it off with Launch Your Business with Customer-Focused Marketing. I'm going to come back in June to talk all about websites. And the key to this webinar is whether you are launching your website or already have a business website, I'm going to talk to you about the 6 characteristics that Google looks for when they're ranking your website. So a lot of people always have that question, right? Is how can I improve my ranking? How can I move from the second tab to the first tab? And so this webinar is going to talk all about the 6 characteristics that you should consider if you're just launching your website, or the things that you can do with your existing website to improve your site traffic and your search ranking. And then I'll come back in July to talk about the business profiles on Google. That webinar is titled, Get Your Local Business on Google Search and Maps. The key to that webinar would be that if you don't already or haven't yet claimed your business profile on Google, we'll want to make sure that you do that first, or join this webinar so you can learn all of the steps to claiming and verifying that business profile on Google. I'm going to ask Maria or Connie if they can do me a favor and just drop the Eventbrite link in the chat. This is going to give you access to all of the webinars, and then for you to be able to register. Actually, I correct myself. They're not all listed in one, but it is the website where you can see the information for all of the webinars. All right, so in this workshop, we're going to recap or start by recapping why marketing is important. And I've always said this, that the moment we take on the role of business owner, president, founder, etc., we're also by default taking on the role as marketers, right? As business owners, marketing is under or should be under our responsibility, because at the end of the day, right, this is our business. So like I said, the minute you become president or founder, by default, you become a marketer. And so we're going to introduce to you the customer journey and explain how your marketing can influence who does business with you. You'll also learn how to reach prospective customers and build awareness of your brand, as well as how to engage your customers during the decision to process to influence your business, okay? You'll also learn the methods of conversion to increase the likelihood of purchase and how to sustain customers' loyalty and encourage brand advocacy. So I actually spent a few years in the loyalty and referral space. So I'm really passionate about this particular topic. So along the way, I am going to have questions for you. I'm going to encourage you to use the chat to answer the questions that I'm going to be posing. There's no right or wrong answer. So if you're feeling intimidated by what you say or what you may not say correctly, don't worry about that. We're all here to learn. So I encourage you to use the chat to engage with us. maybe even comment on some of the things that we're mentioning today. We're always open to that feedback. Okay. So let's start by talking about what marketing is and why the customer journey is a key element. So I love this quote by marketing guru Seth Godin because it gets to the heart of it all, okay? It reminds me that the job of marketing is to make your products and overall brand meaningful for customers. Remember, at the end of the day, it is all about our customers and how we make them feel, okay? So that's what creates a customer base that is loyal to your brand and why people end up choosing your product over others. Today, some of you may be struggling with building your base of loyal customers, or maybe even having trouble portraying your brand. I hope this webinar gives you some ideas for how to overcome those challenges. So throughout the webinar, we are going to be talking and discovering the story of Shalon Thomas and Sharika Winter, the founders of a business called TW Tote, okay? So in this story, Shalon shares with us his journey to entrepreneurship, which it all started when he couldn't find a professional way to carry his lunch to work. He tried a paper bag, a plastic bag, and even a Velcro neoprene mail bag. And none of them reflected his style. As you can see from the photo, he's got, or they've got really, really cool style. So he looked for a professional lunch bag online and he couldn't find anything that he was looking for at a reasonable price point. That's the key, right? So he decided to take matters into his own hands and started TW Tote, the business. So like most entrepreneurs, Shalon and Sharika started out with a passion and a great idea, like you probably, right? Knowledge of the skill or service that you offer. So they, for their story, they had design and engineering skills and could build the product that they were selling, the product that people wanted, but they didn't know much about marketing. And that may be the story that you have to tell, or that may be similar to what you went through, right? You may be a professional architect or an accountant, but maybe not so comfortable with marketing. And there's a lot of businesses that start out that way. You know, they're really good at the service or the product that they offer, but maybe aren't as polished with the marketing. So many of their business decisions were based on gut instinct, which is great, but they identified and created product that meant a real need. So Shalon and Sharika didn't know how to make their product meaningful for customers. So that's something that they struggled with in the beginning, is how to tell their story. So they soon realized that they needed to be great at marketing too. So they needed to establish a brand that would reach more customers, sell more products, and build loyalty. So at its core, marketing is an ongoing effort to create meaning for your customers, okay? It answers questions like, why should customers buy from your company? What's in it for them? What makes your product, service, and company great? Why should they listen to your advice? What's your backstory? Okay, storytelling, you've heard me if you've attended some of my webinars in the past, storytelling helps impart meaning to your products and brand. It can connect customers with your business on an emotional level. So there is something out there that marketing, that's used in the marketing world, and I encourage you to go and read about this because it is a real thing. And it's called emotional loyalty, okay? And you may experience this with some of your favorite brands, right? You may be, really close to one department store versus the other, but then you remember that you actually prefer that experience with that one shopping center department store that's a little bit further away. And so you probably go out of your way to shop with them because of the way that you feel or the way they make you feel when you arrive at their brick and mortar location. So a lot of people are doing this these days. They're going out of their way because they want to continue to support your brand and be a part of the brand. So I would encourage you to do a quick Google search for emotional loyalty. I love, one of the things that it talks about is that oftentimes as business owners, it's not a bad thing, right? We get really caught up on the logistical piece of our business and we forget to be a person that people want to connect with us on an emotional level. So like I said earlier, I'm really passionate about this piece because I think that for small business owners, we can't afford, and oftentimes it's very expensive to go and find new customers. So it's important for us to make sure that we take care of our existing customers and make them feel like they can come back, or provide them with a positive experience so that they want to come back, okay? So again, search emotional loyalty, okay? So when customers buy from you, you want them to feel good about their purchase, right? Your marketing should be about building relationships, developing trust and credibility so that your customers want to buy from you again and again. So what is the customer journey? I'm actually curious to know if you can let me know in the chat, how many of you, especially those of you that already have an existing business, I'm curious, how many of you developed a business plan or a marketing plan prior to launch? And again, there's no right or wrong answer, but I'm curious, how many of you, took the time to build out a plan for how you were going to reach customers or how you were going to prospect? So if you can let me know in the chat, I'd be curious to know. So customer journey. So it's the sum of experiences customers go through when interacting with your brand. So awareness is the first phase, okay? And this is when potential customers discover you. So again, this is when they go to Google or ask Google a question, or maybe it's word of mouth marketing, right? Somebody told them about your business. Next, they're going to move on to the consideration phase. So this is when customers weigh whether they're going to buy from you or your competitor. Remember, our customers are very well researched these days, and they're going to Google to do price comparisons, to check if you have items in inventory. So this consideration phase is critical because this is when they're going to decide who they're going to go with, okay? So if the customer decides to then buy, they're going to move into the purchase phase, which is here. And then last but not least, the final phase is the advocacy phase. And this is when customers are so thrilled with their purchase or their experience that they're going to recommend your business to others. And this is where referrals and reviews all come into play, right? We want to make sure that we build an experience so that at the end of the customer experience, they're going to want to tell others about it. So your job as a business owner and as a marketer is to influence customers at every phase of this customer journey, okay? So at the awareness phase, your marketing is focused on reaching customers where they are so that they become aware of your brand. Now, keep in mind what I just said. We want to make sure that we know where they are at, okay? So we know that they're using Google to search for you. They may be subscribed to your newsletter. They may be following you on social media. So this is important for us to know is where are our customers, okay? So during the consideration phase, your marketing is about engaging your customers by answering questions and building relationships, okay? In the purchase phase, your marketing is about influencing your leads and converting them, hopefully, into paying customers. And then lastly, sustaining customers or sustaining contact with customers who had a good experience can help you build that loyal customer base. And I'm going to say something real quick here, because in the sustain piece, there are some businesses, for example, that may offer like a big ticket item, like mattresses or TVs or even cameras, right? So with these big ticket items, it's a little bit more of a challenge for you to engage with those existing customers because, it's going to be a while before they maybe need a new mattress, right? So if you find yourself in that particular industry where it's a big ticket item that, doesn't happen as often as, let me say like a clothing store, your challenges are a little bit different to keeping engaged with those customers. And it's not something that, that's impossible. You just have to think about it a little bit different with how do you engage with existing customers in between purchases. So in the chat, I'd love to know what phase of the customer journey do you need the most marketing help with? So type 1 for awareness, 2 for consideration, 3 for purchase, and then 4 for advocacy. And I'm going to wait a few minutes just to see who types in what, and then see what the audience is saying. So the previous question that I had about the business plan is not many people created a business plan. So Dennis, this is a great opportunity for the SBDC, right? For them to be aware that the SBDC can help building a business plan. Okay, so we're seeing twos. So consideration, Mike is telling us awareness and advocacy. Richard, number 3 is the purchase. Hayward is 3 and 4. So we're seeing 3s and 4s, 3s, 1, 3s. Okay, so it sounds like the conversion, this one here, the purchase is where most of you are having a challenge, okay? Anderson says, number 1, being aware of my businesses and the services that I offer. Okay, so a lot of 3s for sure, and then a lot of 1s. Okay, so that's good to know. So let's talk about the first phase. So for those of you that just typed in 1, let's pay a little bit more attention here. So we're going to talk about the awareness phase. So the customer journey may begin when someone needs something and they turn to Google, a friend, a family member for referrals, okay? So awareness could also be triggered through, again, word of mouth, advertising, trade shows, and other types of communication. But no matter how your customers find you, they'll likely continue their research by searching for your business online. So we are. The first thing that we're doing is when we become aware of a business is we Google them. So if they can't find you online or are having trouble finding you online, then we want to make sure that we take care of that first, okay? So to reach prospective customers, you first need to understand who they are so you know how to reach them, okay? So start by identifying who needs your product. This is why business plans and marketing plans are so important, because a business plan asks you these questions. A business plan is going to say, ask you, who's your target market? Where do they live? How are we going to reach them, okay? And then once we are able to identify who needs your products, then we build a brand that sparks their interest, okay? So once you've defined your ideal market and built a solid brand, we should get your business online through a website, social media, Google profiles, so that they can discover you. So when it comes to identifying your customers, it's good to think about whose problems you want to solve, okay? Who will want the products and brand experience you're creating? Understanding exactly who your prospective customer is will guide your marketing, okay? Now, your brand and products may be useful just to about anybody, okay? So first thing I always hear from business owners is everybody is my prospect, and that's true, right? But for this particular instance, we think it's more important for you to focus on the customers that are most likely to become customers, who will spread your message. And so that way your marketing dollars aren't spread too thin, okay? So we're recommending that you think about the market segmentation or the niche market that you want to focus in on or narrow in on, so that we're focusing on the people, again, that are more likely to buy from you. So to do this, you can start with demographic segmentation, okay? Which includes things like age, gender, ethnicity, religion, income, educational level, okay? You also want to know about their interests, their values, their personality and lifestyle. These are called psychographics. So geographics are location-based information like what size and density of a region or neighborhood they live in, what language they speak, and even the climate that they live in. So this is important because the latest numbers show that people are going to online to search for local products or services more than ever. So again, our prospective customers are going out of their way to buy local, to search for local. They're looking for convenience. They're looking to support the small businesses around them. So this is why the business profiles on Google, for example, are a great tool, because those profiles are going to help you be discovered by local prospective customers. Lastly, behavioral segmentation involves understanding the frequency of your customers' purchase, their usage of your product, and level of loyalty. So again, this also falls with, as I was talking about earlier, if you have a big ticket item that isn't purchased regularly or frequently, how do we engage with the people? How do we make them advocates in between purchases? So that's going to be the key thing here. So one thing that is recommended, and this is something you may also see in a business plan or marketing plan, is the need to create a persona, or they're sometimes called avatars, which can give you a real picture of who you're trying to reach. So naming them and associating a photo are common marketing practices. So consider this customer persona that we're seeing on the screen. So we're gonna label her Metro Michaela, who is in her mid-30s. She's a female, she's single, lives alone in a large city, okay? She's college educated, has a mid-level management job in the fashion industry. Michaela likes to have friends over to cook and drink wine. She sounds fabulous, my type of people. She dreams of traveling, but spends most of her time in the city, shopping at local boutiques and farmers markets. I mean, some of you may actually fit this persona of people who go out of their way to shop local and visit the local farmers markets. So how would you market a product to Metro Michaela? Think about how you would influence Michaela along the customer journey that we just went through. So what channels would you use to reach her? What type of imagery, words, or even tone of voice do you think would appeal to her? And then what type of product attributes would be important to her? So you can let me know in the chat how maybe you would go about, trying to reach Michaela or targeting her through some messaging. So feel free to drop your ideas in the chat. Someone's asking if does anyone use the Yellow Pages anymore? I can't say I haven't used Yellow Pages in a while. They're probably online. So Brittany thinks that to reach Metro Michaela, Instagram would be a great tool, and I agree. I think considering that she loves food and wine and shopping at local boutiques, and she's in the fashion industry, I mean, Instagram is all of that. So I think that's a really good recommendation, Brittany. Okay, so once you've identified your customers, it's time to create a brand that appeals to them. You'd be surprised how many people also, start their business with just their logo. So this is actually something that I also teach and I love to talk about, which is branding beyond your logo, okay? Most businesses, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with this, okay, just to be clear, but a lot of businesses, start with just a logo and then they build their brand around it, okay? And there's nothing wrong with that. But I do find that a lot of businesses lack a brand guide. So when I ask things like, hey, what color is that on your logo? Or what font are you using in your logo? Most business owners don't have knowledge of this. So if you don't have a brand guide currently, and you're planning to outsource some of your marketing collateral, it is important to have a brand guide. I just feel having a brand guide is also going to keep you and your brand consistent, because you're always going to know the exact hex colors or the color codes for your brand. You're also going to know the font sizes and the font styles. So taking control of that brand is important, because again, the minute you start to outsource your collateral, it can get tricky, right? Because if you don't have the exact color, someone's going to try to match that olive green with another green, and that's where the inconsistencies happen. So again, branding is more than just logos and colors, graphics, and voice. A good brand identity connects emotion to your prospective customers. Sorry. Your logo design and brand colors will convey certain feelings and even, in some cases, inspire people to take actions. Graphic elements, okay, communicate values and interests and should represent what your prospective customers aspire to be. Your brand's messaging and tone and voice do the same. So this helps you to communicate what your brand is, how it relates to them, and how it aligns to their values. So the takeaway is this: People are wanting to buy into your brand, not just your product or service. Okay, so I'm going to repeat that again. People are wanting to buy into your brand. This is where that emotional loyalty comes into play, not just your product or service. Okay, this is why I think branding, thinking about branding beyond your logo, hopefully will help you to think about, what is your brand beyond your logo? What is my messaging? What is my voice? What are my values? Okay. So these shared values and ideals create the basics of your brand. So before you choose a logo or colors, you need to define your values and ideals first. So TW Tote positions itself as a luxury but approachable brand. They wanted their product to be accessible while meeting the standards for quality and style. So they use these characteristics to describe who they are, what they want to be, and how they want to be perceived. So these values can be written into a brand positioning statement that establishes the foundation of your marketing efforts. And I have a template for you later on in the presentation. We can fill it out together during this presentation if you'd like. But I think it's important for you to have that brand positioning statement, because it is going to be your North Star, and it can be used externally in your marketing. So a brand positioning statement should include the customers you serve, so your audience, what you offer and how it addresses your customer needs, and then how you're best at what you do. So what makes you better than your competitors, and then your brand promise and mission. So brand positioning statements need to be brief, clear, and memorable. Okay, so let's take a look at an example template. Feel free to screenshot this. I believe we share the slide deck afterwards, so you can go back and fill this out. But this is a template that you can use for your own brand positioning if you don't have one. So the blue words are placeholders. So this is where you would type in what's relevant to your business. So let's take a look at TW Tote's completed mission statement. So this is how it would look once you fill yours out. So in this case, the brand positioning statement says, for working professionals who need a stylish and functional lunch bag, TW Tote, the name of the business, provides a fashionable, insulated, vegan leather totes. Okay, because everyone deserves a luxurious and functional lunch bag the entire family can use. So take a look at this. I'm going to leave it up for a few more seconds. I'd love to, if somebody wants to take on the challenge of completing theirs and sharing theirs with ours, I would love to read it at the end of the presentation. So again, here's the statement template for, and then blank who your audience is, what is a customer challenge or service that you offer, your company name, provides product information and the differentiators, because, and then include your brand promise or mission here. All right, so once you've defined your prospective customer and designed a brand that speaks to them, it's time to get your business online. So you may find an audience through existing platforms like social media, reseller platforms like Etsy, or a directory site, often made for specific professions like accountants or plumbers. There's a lot of directories out there. Maybe even the Yellow Pages. I don't know, maybe the Yellow Pages did go online. So these existing platforms can definitely help you reach specific customers. But here's what I've always said about these external sites like social media platforms is, the reality is that these likes and followers, a lot of people spend a lot of effort growing their following base on these social media platforms. And I've always said that, they're technically not a contact because you don't really own their information, right? So you may see them interacting with your content online, but you may not know who they are, right? So I've always said that one of the missions that business owners should consider is to try to convert as many of your followers into true contacts, okay? More importantly, is we want to drive as many of those likes and followers to what I feel is the most valuable real estate on the internet, which is your website. Okay. So websites are critical because if you start to drive that traffic to your website, for one, they're going to be able to see your brand and experience your brand on your website. But two, depending on what you have in place, your websites can also offer you an opportunity to capture that contact. Some people do this through like newsletter signups or downloadable guides or white papers or exclusive discounts by having them enter their email address, right? So once that person converts into a contact, they're technically yours. They're not a borrowed contact anymore on a social media platform. So again, I've always encouraged business owners, there's nothing wrong with definitely growing your online community through social media, but we want to convert as many of those people into true contacts. And again, this could be done through your own website. For webinar number 2, again, we're going to be talking all about websites, and we're going to be talking about, the characteristics that Google considers when it is ranking your website. But we're also going to talk a lot about what makes a website user-friendly. So what happens after somebody lands on your website? Are they clicking around? Do they land on your website and then leave? Okay. So how can we engage with those people once we get them on your website? So again, I feel like the most valuable real estate that you can own on the internet is a website. So our webinar number 3 is going to be talking about business profiles on Google. I'm not going to take too much time talking about these profiles, but what I do want to make sure that I mention is that if you haven't yet claimed your business profile on Google, here's your opportunity to do so. I encourage you to, go and claim it and then come back for webinar number 3 to learn best practices. I'm going to be walking you through just the different functionalities, the features that the platform does offer. So if you want to go or jot this down, you can go to google.com/business to start your process of claiming your profile. And on your screen here, you're seeing an example of what a business profile looks like on Google, okay? All right, moving on to the engage and the influence consideration phase. So during this phase, customers are deciding whether or not they want to do business with you, okay? They're evaluating your brand compared to others, okay? They're gathering information. Again, our customers are very well researched, they're savvy, they know how to use the internet pretty well. So we want to make sure that we make a good impression, okay? So things that you might want to consider that are going to be crucial is that we want to make sure that we're listening to our customers, that we're asking questions and then having meaningful conversations. So this isn't a race to try to sell. This is a race to convince them that you are the better brand, that you are better at that service. So this is where, making sure that you have referrals in place, that your website is up to date, that it's clear on the services that you offer, that pricing, may be available for them. So spending time communicating and delivering valuable information and content to your customers is key. FAQ pages. You're going to hear me talk about FAQ pages in webinar number 2. But FAQ pages, or frequently asked questions, are a great way or a great thing to have on your website because, believe it or not, you're covering 2 things by having an FAQ section on your website. One, you're offering customer support, so an easy way for people to learn or get answers to those frequent questions. But 2, you'll learn that Google loves FAQ pages because Google's business is to find answers to people's questions. So if they find that your website is full of that type of content, they're going to refer your website time and time again.
Hey,
Yes.
Israel, real quick before you move on, there was just a quick question, and I don't know if we could address it quickly, or it might be in the next webinar. But Luis has a question about how can
Google
he change
icon.
the the Google icon that shows for his business.
And Luis is, if I'm not mistaken, he's the wedding and quinceañera vendor. Icon shows on my business. Interesting. Now it shows a food icon. Luis, I would have to take a look at it. It may be that a customer uploaded a photo by accident, and there is a way for you to report those images if they're not associated with your business. So feel free to reach out to me afterwards, Luis, or send me, better yet, send me an email with the business name again, and then I can do a quick Google search afterwards for that. Thank you, Connie. But we are going to be addressing some of those questions in webinar number 3. Okay. So one thing that one way that you can get started, by the way, with getting to know your business or even building the FAQ section is to determine your customers' pain points. So that's always a great way for you to be able to find that niche market too, right? Are there other people that share that pain point, right? So then you start to build an awareness campaign around the fact that you have a solution to that pain point. It's important for us to make sure that we're addressing our customer challenges. Like, for example, with TW Tote, a challenge that they had was, yes, there was definitely lunch bags out there, but it wasn't something that that Shalom was comfortable carrying around because it was ruining his outfit. There's nothing wrong with that. But this is the type of research that you should be doing and that we should be collecting through our customers. You'd be surprised how many customers are actually willing to tell you more about their needs. Customer reviews often give you insight into those customer needs. So pay attention to how they're talking about you, what they're saying about your brand, as you build out your marketing plans. Google is a great resource, okay? One thing that I recommend, and I covered this in one of my past webinars here, is paying attention to the related searches. So this is a quick and easy way for you to find keywords or phrases that people are using to either find or discover the product or services that you offer. So homework for you is to go to Google, if you haven't done this already, type in the name of the business or the product that you offer, and then scroll all the way down to the related searches. And this is actually going to give you insight into what are people typing. You may not be aware of some of the words or keywords or phrases that others are using. So you may actually discover some information and some intel by going down to the related searches. There's also a free tool that Google offers called Google Trends. So this is a great way for you to go and see what people are searching for online, okay? This is also a great way for you to compare search terms or keywords. So for example, on the screen, we're seeing that when you go to Google Trends, and this is the dashboard, by the way, you can actually compare different keywords to one another and see which ones are being used over the other. So like Bikram yoga, for example, right? Are people typing in Bikram yoga? Are they typing in just yoga? So these are things that we should be aware of, because we may not be aware that we're using either the wrong terminology, or like, for example, I spent a lot of years in the specialty coffee space. No one is Googling specialty coffee unless you are in the specialty coffee space. Most people are searching like gourmet coffee or coffees from Mexico. So it's important for us to be aware of that. As much as we want people to search for us through specialty coffee, sometimes the reality is that people aren't using those keywords. So this is a great tool for you to be able to compare those key terms or search phrases.
Hey, Israel, real quick, just another question, I think, on this topic. There's new changes on Google My Business, the app, which will be gone. Do you understand the question? Because I'm having...
Yeah. Okay. So there is a new app. So the way that you're going to be able to access the, they're called business profiles on Google. So Google My Business is, that terminology is no longer used. So you can actually access your profile through Maps. So through the Google Maps, so long as you're signed in to your account. So most people have a hard time accessing their profiles because they're not logged in. So you can access it through the Google Maps. So that is a change, and I can send information, Connie, afterwards on that explains the changes. So when it comes to communicating, earlier I said, that customers don't really want to be sold to, right? They want to buy into a brand. And so I think it's important that regularly and as often as we can, that we are talking about our values, that we're educating and inspiring them. So one rule of thumb that that we talk a lot about on in the marketing space is like the 80-20 rule. Okay, so basically the 80-20 rule speaks to the idea that 80% of the time, and this is across all channels. So whether you're on social media, email, even on your website. So 80% of the time, we want to make sure that we're creating content that's educational, inspirational, that's motivating people, that's giving people insight into something exclusive. Okay, so again, 80% of the time, we want to be educational, inspirational. And there's a lot that you can talk about. A lot of people think, you know, what do I have to say? I'll bet you if I interviewed all 30 of you today, there's probably 5 things that, you know, customers come to you for or questions that you get regularly that can easily become content and educational content. So with the 80-20 rule, again, 80%, we want to be educational, inspirational. That's going to leave us room so that the remainder of the 20%, we can be promotional, that we can ask for an email address, that we can encourage them to sign up for our loyalty program. So again, remember the 80-20 rule. Sharing, not selling, okay? FAQs, comparison, you know, specs. This is really good if you, especially if you have a product that requires assembling. Demo videos. These are all good content pieces that that customers will value because you're providing a solution. Okay, so remember, we're sharing, not selling, as much as we can. We're also communicating how we can solve their problems, having conversations with them, and then this is going to help them, you know, evaluate more of your business. Okay, so beyond sharing great content, you also need to spend time solving their problems, even the ones that come up before they become a paying customer. So let me say that again. Sometimes we may have a prospect that has a lot of questions, right? They're curious and they're, you know, maybe not, you know, yet ready to purchase. And this is okay. This is where I think businesses can really stand out when we're patient and where we can offer support even when they haven't become a paying customer. So that's something for you to really think about here. So in this next section, we're going to just quickly talk about a mother and daughter duo, Tracy and Danny. They're the founders of Wicked Good Cupcakes. They started as an e-commerce business selling cupcakes online. And their big breakthrough came when they were featured in the ABC's TV show called Shark Tank, which got them in front of 10 million TV viewers. Okay, so it was major exposure for them. And the thing that made them unique is that they shipped cupcakes in a mason jar. So that was their whole spiel is, you know, creating a cupcake that was easy to transport and that wouldn't get ruined in the process. So this was a brilliant idea. And like I said, they got on Shark Tank's, on the show Shark Tank, which gave them major exposure. So one thing that, you know, they quickly learned is that they got a ton of customers, obviously from being on the show. But one of the things that they struggled with in the long run was the purchase and the advocacy phase. So getting people to come back for multiple purchases. So this is something that they struggled with and something that they needed to, you know, learn how to overcome. So let's talk about the convert and, you know, the purchase, which is what a lot of you shared in the chat was that you struggle with the purchase piece. Okay, so let's talk about this. So to convert customers, you need to figure out which leads are most likely to become customers and focus your marketing efforts on them. Again, this isn't a wide net of trying to capture as many customers. This is us bringing in the most likely customers or the customers that look like the avatar that we built, okay? So again, to do this, we need to identify the key customer actions that lead to conversions. You'd be surprised how many times I find when I'm doing like audits on websites, for example, how many people forget the call to action. So remember, what is that call to action? And there's nothing wrong with having calls to action on your website where you're reminding people where and how they can buy from you. So oftentimes that may be the issue, is we're not asking for the sale, or we're not leading them through the process of how to buy from you. So that's something for you to consider. So how do you know where the customers are in their journey? Okay, so you look at their actions. So this is like, how engaged are they with you before their purchase? So certain actions signal that they are more likely to convert. So on your screen, these are some key actions that you may want to consider looking at. Okay, so if somebody signs up for your email newsletter, that's a good indication, one, that they want to hear from you, or at least want to keep in touch with what you offer. If they fill out a form completion on your website, if they download some of your content, if they view your or request a trial or demo, if they're downloading your app, these are all things that are really good indicators. Even like placing an item on the cart, there's so many tactics that help businesses nowadays with like shopping cart abandonment, where it happens to me all the time. I add something to my shopping cart and I walk away, or I get distracted and I forget that I added something to that cart. So even with like folks that do have an e-commerce presence, if you are struggling with that completion of like people adding to items to the shopping cart but not completing the purchase, there are tactics out there like shopping cart abandonment campaigns that can help you complete that purchase. So once you've identified customers who are ready to make purchase, it's time to share content and, again, calls to action to try to convert them. So there's nothing wrong with offering somebody a discount or a deal after they signed up for your newsletter, or if you have a loyalty program that offers them an exclusive offer, an invitation to attend like an educational webinar. Especially for those of you that are in the service-based business, I say that we got to get you out there. We got to make sure that people know how knowledgeable you are of the service that you're in. So I think webinars are a great tool for those that are in the service-based businesses. Customer testimonials. Now I understand that not all of you may be able to afford free shipping, and sometimes free shipping isn't what a lot of customers are looking for. I say this too with loyalty programs. Most people think that launching a loyalty program means that you have to offer a discount, and that's far from the truth. Sometimes they just want exclusivity, like this one here, like exclusivity to something that they normally wouldn't. All right, one thing that is also important is that you streamline the purchase process. We talked about this in our e-commerce webinar. You want to make it easy for people to buy from you. If there's like 10 steps, or it's not very clear how many steps somebody has to take to complete their purchase, that may be a turnoff for people because it's just hard to buy from you. And that's the irony in all of this, right? Is that we don't want to make it a difficult thing for people to buy from you. So, it's important for you to pay attention to that process that you have online. And you could do this, by the way. Google Analytics offers you that type of insight. So if you're having connected your websites to Google Analytics, I would encourage you to do that because Google Analytics does provide that level of intel. So feel free to go to g.co/analytics to get that started. All right, last section, and I know we're almost up on time, Connie, so I'm gonna go through this. Again, for me, this is the most important part, which is the sustain and the advocacy phase. So once we have won them over, once they've purchased from us, how do we get them to come back again? Or how do we convert them into advocates of our business? How do we get them to refer more business to us or to talk about us on their social media, okay? So there's a lot that goes into this. I say the biggest advice that I would give you is that you make sure that you're providing a great experience. That's, these days we don't have control over whether they're going to first learn about our business online or stumble upon our business by walking in front of our brick and mortar location. Either way, we want to make sure that we're providing what we call an omni-channel experience. So omni-channel experience means that whether somebody discovers you online or at your brick and mortar location, all of that experience should be cohesive. They should all work together with one another. So providing that experience, or an omni-channel experience, is going to help you really make sure that you're providing a consistent brand experience across all channels. One thing that I recommend too is, if you haven't yet considered this, is I think loyalty programs are a great way to keep in touch or build a customer loyalty base. Again, customer loyalty programs don't have to mean discounts. You know, I actually talk a lot about the Nordstrom's loyalty program a lot. I have been a member of their loyalty program for a number of years. And sure, you know, there's the annual sale that we have access to, but I actually like it because I get access to free tailoring. So, you know, think about that for your business, right? Are there things that you can offer that will give your existing customers, you know, access to something? So, you know, loyalty programs, like I said, I'm very passionate about, and I think that they are a great way for you to keep customers engaged in between purchases. Again, there's VIP, exclusive offers, you know, discounts that you can offer, personalized programs. We're going to talk more about customer testimonials and reviews in our third webinar, because the Google Business Profiles do allow you to collect reviews. My biggest thing with reviews is make sure we're acknowledging them, make sure that we're responding to those reviews. You know, so there's a lot that goes into that. So again, I won't be able to go through all of these in detail, but again, there's multiple ways for you to be able to encourage your existing customers to continue to talk about you. This is a look at the messaging tab and the reviews tabs within the business profiles on Google. So if you haven't yet engaged or responded to reviews, I encourage you to do that right away, because we want to make sure that we acknowledge those reviews. So again, who can be advocates? Your customers, employees, partners, vendors. I actually always, for my family members, I always recommend that they understand how they can refer business to me. They all have access to my website. They all know that I can't offer a family discount to everybody, so they're very careful about how they speak about that with others. But our families are a great way for us to get the word out. We just have to make sure that they're aware of how they can talk about us, or the resources, or where we want them to send referrals. So there's a lot that we can do with our existing network of resources. So Connie, I know we are over, we ran over time, but I wanted to see if there's any questions that I need to answer before I continue.
I think the only thing is that was asked is if you could bring up the slide, the TW brand slide, you know, where they can fill in. I think a few people wanted to take a screenshot.
Okay, yep, I can go back to that. Perfect.
Yep. And I think that's the only one that I saw that we'd left unanswered.
Let me go back to that one. Yeah, and I know we're over on time, so if people want to hang out, I can hang out and answer questions. Let me just go back to that slide.
As you're looking for that, Israel, I just want to thank you and our partners. Again, a phenomenal webinar. So much information, as you can see, and free tools that we could use, right? So we need to ensure that people continue to take advantage of this. You know, this is our 6th or 7th one that we've done, and I keep thinking there's no way I could learn more stuff. And every time I'm jotting stuff down that, you know, I want to share with some other businesses, and it's valuable information. So thank you again.
Yes.
And for Hayward, hopefully you took the screenshot. Israel,
I'm gonna drop it. Yeah, I'm gonna actually drop the text in the chat.
Perfect.
So that way they can copy and paste, and then I'll bring it back up.
Great. And if there's any other questions, we do have a few more minutes. Yep,
Yeah,
there you go. Israel.
So yeah, you can drop it in. Yep. 3 pages of notes. Wow, Mike.
Well, I encourage everybody to come to our next webinar. Please sign up, register, and like I said, if you missed anything on the slides, we will have the slides available, and the recording will be available on the city's website. We'll also share the website, obviously, with our partners,
Great.
the Chamber and the SBDC, and they can also have it on their website and share it to interested individuals. So with that, again, Israel, thank you. I can't say enough. I don't have 3 pages, but I have enough notes. And like I said, I'm always surprised that I learned something new. So thank you, everybody. Thank you for your time. Have a phenomenal Wednesday. And keep in touch. If you have any questions, let us know.
Thank you
All right.
all. Thank you,
Bye,
Mayra.
everybody. Bye.